Developing overseas now, the president wants all Americans in Ukraine to get out while it is still safe to do so.
Now, we've been keeping a close eye on the situation for weeks now as Russia continues to build up its military presence on the Ukrainian border. News 5 anchor Rob Powers is in the newsroom with some perspective from a local professor. Rob?
Yeah, Courtney DeLon, business law professor Juscelino Collares from Case Western Reserve University says this is a high-stakes game being played by Russian President Vladimir Putin right now, with the goal of breaking up NATO and rebuilding the Russian Empire. Right now, Russia has Ukraine surrounded on three sides with 150,000 troops. Russia claims it started to draw some of those troops back now, but the U.S. has not been able to confirm that. And even though Russia has indicated it is still open to diplomacy, Professor Collares told us that Putin has time to draw this thing out and just see how good a deal he can get from the West, all because the weather will be favorable for an attack for several more weeks.
He knows that the ground was going to be frozen for a while, so that's not going to interfere with his sending the tanks. Tanks are not going to have to mess with mud and other obstacles that they're probably going to face.
As President Biden laid out this afternoon, the U.S. and its allies are prepared to impose what he called powerful new sanctions. But the professor says now is the time for the U.S. to enact tough sanctions for Russia's actions, not just threaten them. He warned if we don't keep Russia from invading Ukraine, Putin will have no reason to stop there.
As we know with Hitler, as we know with the Japanese Empire in World War II, once they start this business of invading countries and enlarging their perceptions or their dreamed empires, they don't tend to stop until they're defeated.
Professor Collares says a war between Russia and Ukraine could further disrupt supply chains and economic relations, and President Biden affirmed that, warning Americans this afternoon that this conflict could bring price hikes to the U.S., saying defending democracy, Courtney, is never without cost.